Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be talking steaming milk. We're going to go through all the processes of steaming milk. Hello everyone, welcome in. Today we're going to be talking about steaming milk. I've partnered with Sunbeam. They're helping us bring together this live today. We're going to be using their Barista Max and showing you how to steam milk at home. Hi from Cairns, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So good to see you all. The most exciting, well, I'm glad it's the most exciting for you. It's also exciting for me. Hello from Sydney. We got Sydney in the house. Hello everyone, welcome. As I was just saying to everyone, we got Mexico here, awesome. Colombia, Argentina, Louisiana. We've got people from everywhere, and then Perth, back to Australia. So today we're going to be talking about steaming milk. I was just saying that we've partnered with Sunbeam to help us put this on. We're going to be steaming milk today on the Sunbeam Barista Max home espresso machine, the all-in-one home espresso machine. I'm going to talk to you about texturing, the different types of milk to use, what jugs to use, and I'll be answering your questions along the way. So please jump in the chat, ask us any questions that you have. UK in the house, Philippines in the house, thank you. WA here. Oh, we've even got New York. Amazing. So, just waiting for everyone to kind of join in. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is just the basic principles of steaming milk. What you're aiming to do when you're steaming milk is taking cold milk and you're going to be injecting air, steam into that milk, which is going to create a microfoam. It's going to increase its volume and it's going to make really silky, well-textured milk. So the first thing that we're going to talk about will be the milk jug, then the milk you use. We're going to talk about the temperatures of milk and how hot it should really be. So it's that age-old thing of, people asking for scorching hot milk in the cafes. We're going to be looking at positioning and the 2 steps about aerating and then texturing your milk. Hello from Toorak, just down the road. So the first thing that we're going to look at is your milk jug size. So when you're getting your milk jugs, your milk jug needs to match the cup that you're going to be pouring into. So if you're only doing 1 cup, you need a small one like this. If you're doing 2, you need a bigger one like this. The reason for that is, let's say you wanted to do just 1 drink from this bigger milk jug. You'd only fill it up to, say, here. And that's not going to be enough milk to create the vortex and to steam it correctly. And you're going to get foamy, bubbly, probably overheated milk that just tastes gross. That tastes yucky. So you want to pick something that's going to match the cup that you're going to be pouring into. So if you're just doing a single cup like this, the smaller kind of 350ml pitcher would be perfect for that. And so you want to fill up to, basically with every jug, the rule is you want to have it just on this line here, just up to there. If you have it any higher, it'll probably come out on the sides. You're probably going to spill milk everywhere. And one of the number 1 things that I try to avoid is making a mess when making coffee. And if you have it too low, it's not going to spin properly. It's going to be terrible, and you don't want that. We've got a coffee up in the chat. I'll give you 1 coffee up early just as we started. Coffee up. Oh no! Oh no! Coffee up. There it is. That's much better. So yeah, they're the milk jugs that you want to use, and it doesn't need to be expensive. This is like a $13 milk jug. The Sunbeam comes with a great milk jug with it that's perfect for steaming. Easy. Great, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the 2 steps that you need to know for perfectly steamed milk. It's just 2 things. It's so easy. There's 2 things that you need to do. The first thing is aerating. That's letting the air in, and you only want to do this right at the start of the steaming process. So I would say that you want to do it from anywhere from 2 to 8 seconds, depending on the machine you're using and how much steam pressure you have and what drink you're making. You let less air in for a flat white and then more air in for, say, a cappuccino. So 3 seconds of air for a flat white, maybe 6 to 8 seconds for a cappuccino that you're doing there. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to inject the air in. And the second part is lower the steam wand and don't let any more air in and just texture it. Let it spin. And what that's going to do is break down all those big bubbles that you just blew into the milk into tiny little bubbles, which are microfoam. So that's going to be that really silky texture that you're after when you're steaming along there. So that's the biggest thing. I say the longer you can texture for and just have it spinning in that beautiful motion, that beautiful vortex, the silkier your milk is going to be. So let the air in as quickly as possible, and then bang, get straight to texturing, no more air. And that's the two simple things with steaming. It really just comes down to those two steps to make great milk as you're doing it there. The next thing we're quickly going to talk about is temperature. As I joined live, my beans got arrived. There you go, coffee up. Coffee straight to the door as you're watching the live. You can make along with us and enjoy some golden brown at home. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is temperature. So milk, one of the things in it is the proteins. And as you heat your milk, you probably want it to get to around 65 degrees. Once you start getting 65 to 70 degrees, the proteins in the milk start to break down. And that's when you get that cooked flavor. You know, that kind of weird milk cooked flavor that tastes really gross? That's why it's happening. It's because the proteins in your milk are getting broken down. And so that's sometimes when people are asking for really hot coffees, that it can kind of get that yucky flavor. One thing I can do if you like it a bit hotter is just make sure you preheat your cups. That kind of helps. But yeah, you want to be aiming in that kind of 55 to 65 degree range, depending on your preference and where you like your coffee for that kind of thing. And then alternative milks are in a similar world. In general, I think people like alternative milks a little bit cooler, so in that 60 degree range rather than heading up into that 70 degree range there. And so that's another tip. If you have milk, if you've just steamed milk and you have some left over in your jug, never refill it with fresh milk, because that milk there, all the proteins have already been destroyed, broken down. So you're always going to have that flavor in there. So it's not going to repair it by just adding in some fresh milk. So that's one thing to do. So with temperature, the ways that you can look into it is you can get a really affordable, great little thermometer like this. It has the range, that little blue bit is where you want to be aiming for. So you know, it's super simple. It just clicks on the inside of your jug when you're steaming. And then as you steam your milk, you can look down at the temperature and see. If you want to get into the barista kind of game of how you do it, which is just by hand, the general rule of thumb in a cafe is have your hand on it, and once it gets too hot to touch, you know your milk is at a good stage. I would say though, on home machines, I give it the 5-second rule. Once it's too hot to touch, I take my hand off, and then I count to 5. Yes, Celsius. We're talking about Celsius here, not Fahrenheit. So yeah, once it's too hot to touch, hand off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Milk is ready, perfect temperature. And that's my hack if you just want to do it by hand there. But nothing wrong with using a thermometer. It's great. Grab one, super affordable. Awesome. So they're kind of the basic principles that we're looking at when doing steaming. I'm going to get into actually making some milk and steaming for you. But while we're here, do we have any questions while we're along the way? Anything that I can kind of ask? I think we have a little question box on the side. Let me have a look here. What have we got here? Have you ever had anyone recognize you in a coffee shop? Yes, I have had a few people give me the old coffee up. How to know steam pressure on your machine. So these machines are just going to have your steam pressure built in. Once you go into a commercial machine, they'll be going higher. Their pressure level will be much higher. But that's one thing I love about these machines is you can kind of, the pressure is enough for great textured, beautiful milk, just like a cafe, but it's a little bit less, that it gives you a bit more leeway time. You have a bit more time to steam, a bit more time to practice, move around, find where you need to be. So it's actually a really great way to practice there. So here, what questions do we have? How to make a hollow heart. Oh, I'll do a video about that, how to do a hollow heart. Fat content in milk. Yeah, I think, for steaming, full fat milk is one of the easiest ones to steam, but use whatever you like, whatever tastes best for you. The less fat you have, the stiffer the milk is going to become. So skinny milks with no fat can actually get a bit, you notice when the foam on the top is a bit stiffer, whereas with a full cream milk, it might be a little bit more silky, a little bit more velvety. Is there a certain temp you should stop airing the milk? No, the airing is just based on how much air you want to allow in. So basically, as I was saying before, anywhere from that 3 to 8 seconds, we'll see it in a second, but allow all the air in just at the start, and then you want to texture and send it around. Almond milk, foam it as much as you could and let it sit for about 30 seconds. Yeah, so I think if we're talking about alternative milks, milks like oat, milks like almond, they have less protein in them, so you want to allow more air in. So just up that aeration at the start by a few seconds, And then why people leave it for 20-30 seconds. That just allows the foam to set. Then you want to polish it and do it. But yeah, I find that really helpful, especially with oat. More air in at the start, and then let it set for 20 seconds after you've done it. And that creates a really great texture for me. That's really good for latte art as well. Thoughts on jugs with built-in thermometer? Yeah, anything that makes it easier for you. If it's, if it's a money thing, if it's more expensive, you don't need it. If it's affordable, it's great. The Sunbeam Cafe Series Duo that I have over there, the different machine, that has a thermometer in the steam wand. Genius. Just tells you on the machine as you're steaming what temperature your milk's at. So that's amazing there. How long should you introduce air into the milk for a latte? For a latte, I'd say maybe 3 to 5 seconds. Yeah. What's the perfect cup? I like these kind of round cups that are in that kind of 200 ml shape. If you're talking about pouring, these allow you to get your milk jug really close to the crema as you pour, which is great for latte art. The closer you are, the more your art will appear. And it's just the right ratio of coffee to milk for me that I really like there. This machine is a single boiler, so the Duo, you can pull the shot and do the milk at the same time. This one will individually go, so you pull your shot and then you steam your milk. I'll show you that in just a second so you can see how it works. Does the cup make a difference? Yeah, the cup makes a difference based on taller, thin cups are going to be harder to pour into, while wider, round cups, a little flatter, are going to be easy to pour into. Also ratios, depending on how much milk to coffee you want. How do you stop the screeching? Great question. The screeching is because you haven't allowed enough air in at the start. If you find your milk is going, then you just need to allow a bit more air in at the start and then start texturing. It kind of dampens out that sound there and it sounds much better. So that's the main way to stop that screeching. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start looking at positioning of your steam wand, where you need to position it. I've got my business partner here, Sonam, who's filming for us. He's going to bring you in, and we're going to get nice and close. I'm going to use a clear jug, just to kind of show you, so you can clearly see what you need to be doing.
It's frozen out.
Just wait a sec. Sorry, we're just having some technical difficulty. The camera's wanting to spin around.
Right back.
Can everyone let me know if you can see this in the chat? Just make sure that you're seeing the coffee machine now. Alrighty, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is bring out your steam wand. So pull it out. You want to angle it towards you. The reason you want it pulled out to this angle is the air is going to blow and it's going to allow you to create that spiral, that vortex inside your milk jug. So once you have it out, what I like to do is, if we come from above now, just on the angle, I line this with the lip of my milk jug and I go straight down into the center. Then from there, you want to find in between the center and the wall of your jug, and right in between those two spots is where you want to be. So you want to be right about here, just to the right of the center when you're doing it. So let's have a look directly from above. So you can see, so that's directly center. Then you'd go to the side and then find in between, and that's where you want to be. Right there is that kind of sweet spot. Then before you start texturing, if we come down to the side of the jug, you can see how far we want to be in. You want to have your tip just below the milk there, on the side. So what that is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to lower and allow steam into the air without allowing giant bubbles in. So that's going to be a really helpful thing that you can do there. So you want it just below, and then you lower your whole jug when you want to be create the vortex and have it spinning, when you want to stop allowing air. So the lower you go, the less air you're going to allow in on the side there. So once we've done that, what you want to do with this machine is you want to allow, before you ever steam, you want to allow this steam pressure to get up. So you want to turn it on You want to purge out that so there's nothing excess left in there. You turn it on and this will come up to heat now. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow all of that liquid, if there's any left in there, come out. So you're just left with steam and air coming out to create the silkiest textured milk. So you can see the machine now is getting up to pressure. So turn it off again. And then get your milk ready. So as we talked about before, you want to fill up to just below the lip of your jug. So we can see that is about right there, just below the lip is going to be the perfect amount. And then we can come up to our steam wand. So remember, we go down the lip into the center, find the wall, and then in between those two spots is where we want to be. So turn it on. And now as you lower, you'll hear those rips of air getting let in. So every time you hear that, that is air being incorporated into the milk. So now that we've had that kind of 6 seconds of air being let in, that's probably enough. We can lower our steam wand and now we just want to spin. Now, one thing that I do as a little tip with home machines is if you tilt your jug on an angle like this, you can see that vortex kind of increases there. You can see you get more of a spin. So I think that helps to create that really well-textured milk there. So as I said before, the kind of rule is once it's too hot, you take your hand off. So I'm too hot now to hold. Give it a few seconds of counting. And then we can turn off the steam wand. And then you always want to purge your wand at the end. Get rid of anything left inside there and just give it a nice wipe down, which is perfect. And then, so if we then have a look at the milk. So you can see on the top there, you want to give it a little polish. You want to give it a spin, and that keeps it homogeneous. That keeps it nice and silky as you're doing it there. Let's say you have a bit too much foam on the top. You can just pour out a little bit if you need on the side. So you can just pour out a little bit, and then you feel like you have a really nice amount there. So this is the milk, and then I'm just going to quickly pull a shot here with the machine, and we can have a look at how that milk's kind of turned out there. So this is the nice thing with spinning the milk. It's going to keep it silky. If you start to lose any of that texture as it kind of separates, you don't want it to be too foamy on the top. So spinning it kind of keeps it nice and silky there. Cool. So we've got really nice, well-textured milk here. And you've got a really nice silky coffee there. Easy, home machine. Yum.
Coffee good?
Yeah, it's good.
And not much milk wasted.
Yeah, not much milk wasted there, which is really important, having the right size as well. Alrighty, let's jump back around. Hopefully the camera doesn't freeze again as we switch back. Perfect. So that is how you steam milk. It's when it comes down to those really simple things, aerating and spinning. It's all about that vortex. It's all about that spin to get it right. It really comes down quite simple. Now, do we have any other questions as we go through here? I could steam some oat milk if people want to see that. I'm going to bring up the question box here and just go through a few of these questions. My milk always ends up in thick lumps. Is there a way to troubleshoot this? Does this mean there's too much air? So sometimes milk, if it's allowed too much air into it, can get a bit clumpy, can get a bit thick, or if you haven't spun it enough after you've kind of steamed it, it can get a bit clumpy. Soy milk has also been known to curdle a little bit with certain milk, so I'm not sure if you're talking about that when you say a bit lumpy, but that's something that can also happen. Darker roast coffees are really good with that. What other questions do we have in here? What are your thoughts on changing steam wand tips to a commercial type? All these machines, you just saw me doing this on the machine. perfect. That was as good as any cafe that you're kind of getting with that steamed milk. 3 tipped steam ones are often pretty good, but I think these machines do a great job for what you're doing. Any tips on how to froth almond milk? Yep, for almond milk and oat milk, I'd allow a little more air in because there's less protein at the start. And if you're doing soy milk, that has a lot of protein, so you want to do less air in at the start when you're doing soy milk. When are the cups available to purchase? They're being thrown right now. They should be ready in 4 to 6 weeks. We're really excited to launch those cups there. All right, let's get into questions in here. Do you leave the wand in to introduce air and then bring it to the top for the vortex? So you want the wand right near the surface of the milk to allow the air in. So that's when those little bits of air will be kind of sucked into the milk, and then lower the wand deeper into the milk to create the vortex. So no more air is being allowed in. The wand is just pushing all of that milk in a spiraling motion there. Am I related to Taika Waititi? I wish. What a handsome and hilarious man. I wish. If I was 1% of Taika Waititi, I'd be stoked. How's the milk kind of flows by itself while you're pouring? You didn't move it much, but it still could create art. Yeah, so I think whenever you're doing art, if you have really silky milk, it's going to flow, it's going to move by itself. So basically you want to get close to the crema and pour directly into the center. Then what happens is that white line moves out and creates that spiraling circle motion. So you can basically just pour dead straight into the center of the cup and you're going to create a heart. Best non-dairy milk, but cheaper options than bonsai. Oat milk. Love oat milk. Oat milk is my go-to. Most neutral flavor. Complements the coffee the most. Steams really well. I love it. Nazim Hussein says, why do your beans taste so good? Well, Nazim, it's a secret that if I told you, I'd have to kill you. So we'll just leave that one to secrets. No, they're just made for home machines. It's going to have that great, delicious, chocolatey flavor made to pair with milk, just designed around what everyone kind of needs on that great home machine. Will there be more live videos in the series? Yes, there'll be 2 more lives as we go through. So we're really excited to do those with Sunbeam. They've been so great. I've loved working with all their machines. The Barista Max this time. Convenient, small footprint, fits in the kitchen. Inbuilt conical burr grinder. Great steam wand. 58mm portafilter, just like the cafe, so you're getting that proper extraction for your coffee. Been really happy with it. Can we ship beans and cups to the Dominican? We're going to look at international shipping for our cups, but coffee is a tougher one there because just get coffee locally. Support your local roasters. I think that's a great way to go about it. We'll be shipping cups to internationally, but yeah, not the beans. It's K Payne. Hey, welcome to the live. Grind settings. We did a live on tamping. We did a live on grind settings that are on Sunbeam's channel. So go over to Sunbeam, follow them. It should be in their reels. If you want to watch through those lives. I'm kind of going through each different step and process in making coffee at home. So this is the steaming milk one as we go along the ride. Why can I never get a good crema with my machine even though it's in the right range? That could be 2 things. It could be to do with how fresh your beans are. As beans age, they degas, they lose the CO2, and CO2 is what makes crema. So fresh beans are going to give you that beautiful crema. If the beans are a bit old, then you're not probably going to get that crema as you do it. Did the machine and temperature need to be changed with the weather temperature or just set temperature? No, it should be fine how it is. Extraction time is ideal. It's going to depend on your coffee, and different roasters will have recommendations. In general, you want to be in that 25 to 30 second extraction time. If you're in that range, you're feeling good, see how it is. If you're feeling it tastes a bit sour or it's a bit watery, then maybe go a bit finer and extract for longer. If you're finding this maybe a bit bitter, then maybe go a bit coarser, shorter extraction time, get a bit more sweetness in there. See how you feel. Alrighty. And then let's see. Grinding beans, please. Why is it so tricky to set the right size? So one thing, if we're just going to ask that question, I do have the video over on Sunbeam's page about dialing in, but I can answer a few questions just about getting the right grind size. If you have scales, that always helps. throw in that like 18 to 19, whatever basket size that you have that works right. But moving from there, it allows you just to adjust the grind. So if you know how much coffee you're putting in each time, then it's going to be easier to measure what you're getting out. So the Barista Plus, which is the next model up from this one, has the inbuilt timer for grinding. So you know how much, you like 23 seconds of grind time. Great, I know how much I'm putting in my basket as we do this. And then from there, it just should be those one-step adjustments. I kind of think that one number on the grind size changes about 3 seconds of extraction. So let's say you're at 25 seconds. If you were to change it by one grind size finer, I'd say you'd probably go up to 28 seconds. Seems to be that general rule that I work in. So that's kind of how you can start to figure out how to get that perfect kind of middle ground. How to make the milk creamy and not watery. That'll just be about the amount of air that you let in, and then also the vortex. The vortex is what's going to make it silky. That's what's going to kind of combine the foam with the milk to create that homogeneous, silky, dreamy mixture that you're after. With the single pump machine, there is a delay to pouring milk with steaming milk. Does that affect the ability to pour good latte out? No, as you just saw with what I was doing there, as long as you can get the right amount of air in and texture that milk, get that spiral going, you're going to create great milk. That latte I just poured, still here, delicious, dreamy, still silky after what it's been sitting there for a minute. Delicious. So the main thing would just be making sure that you get your steam wand up to pressure, turn it on, don't have your thing in there, your jug underneath, just let it get up to pressure, turn it off, and then go for your steaming once it's up to pressure on that. Alrighty, do we have any other questions here? How can I practice a rosetta? So a rosetta, if we want to look at this, one thing when you're pouring a rosetta or anything is you always want to get your milk jug close to the crema like this, and then just pour into the center, and then keep pouring in the same spot and wriggle your wrist back and forth. As you do this, the milk will move around and create that wave. You can just do a heart to start. Do a wiggly heart. That's a great way to practice before adding in the long neck of the rosetta. That'll be the main thing. Don't move around too much. Pour in the center and wriggle your wrist and get that wave right. And that's the best thing to practice. And I have a few videos on rosettas as well on the page if you want to have a look at those. So that'll kind of be it for today on steaming. If you've got any last minute steaming questions, get them in there. What do we got here? Why sometimes milk and foam get separated. That's probably when you leave your milk for too long. If you put it down on the counter and you just kind of let it sit there, it'll separate, might get a bit clumpy. That's why you always do that polishing motion of grabbing your milk jug and just giving it a spiral. That keeps it nice and silky, keeps the mixture homogeneous there. It makes it really delicious. So that would be the main thing to make sure that your milk and foam don't separate as you go out. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Yes, I'll be saving this video if anyone wants to know about steaming. Saving it, it's going to be posted on Sunbeam account. You can watch all the other lives that we've done with Sunbeam there. Again, thank you for Sunbeam for helping do this with us. This is the Barista Max here. You can also get it in silver. Great all-in-one machine with the inbuilt grinder, which is always so helpful. You can get them online, any major electric retailer. Easy to find, they're everywhere. Thank you to them again, and yeah, we'll see you next time. We're going to have another live in a couple of weeks. I'll keep you posted. I'll do a story about it, and we'll chat to you all then. Thank you so much. See you later.